We have breaking news. Deion Sanders just spoke to the media on today. As you guys know, the Fans Day, which means they will practice in day 3 of NFL training camp in front of the Cleveland Browns fans. He also addressed why he possibly not playing with the first team.
What happens when you tell Shedeur Sanders he's not the top QB pick? You get a meltdown so fiery it could boil Cleveland's rivers all over again. This wasn't just a response. It was a feature-length roast complete with receipts, attitude, and a dash of "do you know who my dad is" energy. Cleveland tried to knock him down a peg, but Shedeur came back like premium Wi-Fi in a flex zone, faster, stronger, and undeniably petty. Strap in, this tantrum could headline its own ESPN documentary.
I would say just learning. Every day, of course, I'm learning different things. Because I know the opportunity will come, and whenever it comes, I want to be able to know the ins and outs and know the full everything. So I don't want to really make too many mistakes when it's my time.
The city where quarterbacks' careers flatline, reputations vanish into thin air, and logic books itself into a long-term rehab facility. And now, in the most predictable shocker imaginable, the Browns have decided that Shedeur Sanders, the living highlight reel, the nil powerhouse, the man who turned sunglasses into a cornerstone of college football religion, doesn't even deserve QB1 practice reps, not the starting role. Not even a straight-up competition. Just icy benches and Kenny Pickett's questionable hairline standing in the way of what feels like his inevitable destiny. Cleveland stays Cleveland, and Shedeur's patience is wearing thin.
Let me tell you what's going to happen with Shedeur, because the NFL is not going to let him be a starting quarterback in this league, but they're going to seem like they're giving him a shot.
I just got to think about what I could do to get better, even if I'm not getting reps in. Yeah, it's no problem.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe Shedeur Sanders to the channel. It helps more than you think. Let's be honest, it takes a truly gifted franchise to find a way to botch things before the first snap of the season. But the Browns? They perfected it into a masterclass. If the NFL is a buffet of bad decisions, Cleveland isn't just first in line, they're showing up with coolers, plates, and a 5-year meal plan. And now, here we are. Shedeur Sanders, football royalty, a man raised in a household where greatness is as natural as breathing, and as common as Instagram captions, shows up in Cleveland expecting to battle for the crown. Instead, he's handed a clipboard and a headset like some random walk-on intern who wandered in off the street with a LinkedIn profile, a fresh degree, and a sad little Subway sandwich.
Shedeur Sanders has to get out of Cleveland. Browns want to use Shedeur for money and clicks, but have no real intention of giving him a fair shot at winning the quarterback position. He's a top seller in rookie jerseys for a reason, because he's popular and he was a great quarterback in college. Notice Dillon Gabriel is nowhere on this list. He's made $14 million already, which is more than the Browns signed him for 4 years. Notice the Browns plaster Shedeur all over their social media pages, but won't even give him a fair shot in practice. They literally have Shedeur throwing to equipment managers and coaches. He can't even get on the field to throw to his teammates. They act as if Tom Brady is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. He's sitting behind Kenny Pickett. The Browns have no intentions of treating Shedeur fairly. They just want to use him for money and embarrass him.
You'd think someone in the Browns front office would stop for half a second and say, "Hold up, this is literally Deion Sanders' son. Maybe, just maybe, we should give him a few reps before handing the offense over to Kenny I peaked in Pittsburgh Pickett." But nope. This is Cleveland, where logic might as well be hieroglyphics and football strategy feels like something hastily sketched on the back of a beer-soaked napkin at a tailgate.
At different points in his life, and because they all have that same level of confidence, they all have that skill of talent, whether it be in different parts of football or in Bucky's case, how he does with the social media, how he runs the whole Sanders family. They all are talented and skilled, and they're confident in their ability to do what they do. So because these young men, Shedeur especially, because they are especially confident in their ability, because of how they were raised, because of what they were given, the talents that they were given, y'all are faulting them for that.
And don't get it twisted, Shedeur Sanders didn't take the disrespect lying down. He went full Netflix docuseries meets vengeful gladiator mode. You could practically hear the dramatic soundtrack swelling in the background as he fired back, eyes blazing with enough fury to melt a goalpost. If this guy had any more chips on his shoulder, TSA would flag him at the airport. Seriously, at this point he's less quarterback, more sentient vending machine, stocked with lays, ruffles, and generational talent that everyone seems to be sleeping on. And honestly, who could blame him? This isn't just about ego, it's about reality. Shedeur's sitting there watching Kenny Pickett, who throws like he's trying to skip a stone across a pond, get first-team reps while he gets treated like the Browns' social media intern. It's giving full, carry the water bottles and smile energy. The same Cleveland Browns organization that thought Johnny Manziel was a long-term investment and backed up a Brinks truck for Deshaun Watson, like literally enough guaranteed cash to buy his own team, is now pretending to be Shedeur's some D3 walk-on who wandered in looking for a tryout. If Shedeur's mad, he's not wrong. He's just the only one in the room making any sense.
Definitely the playbook. Yeah, I'm getting super comfortable in the playbook for sure, and it's helping me out, overall in the field.
Meanwhile, Kenny Pickett, yes, Kenny freaking Pickett, is somehow getting first-team reps, the same Kenny whose crowning NFL achievement to date is managing to survive the Pittsburgh media without combusting into a pile of lukewarm takes and soggy terrible towels. If mediocrity were a Renaissance art form, Kenny would be Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel with beige paint and a broken crayon. And yet, despite this glowing resume of beige brilliance, we're expected to watch Deion Sanders take mental reps, like he's the understudy for a quarterbacking Shakespeare play no one asked to see. Meanwhile, Kenny is out there doing his best impression of a sentient traffic cone, waving his arms like a confused mall cop trying to direct holiday traffic. It's not quarterbacking, it's a performance art piece titled Confusion and Checkdowns. And what does Cleveland do? Hand him the keys to the first-team offense like he's Brady reincarnated, but make it gluten-free and emotionally unavailable. Let's be serious for 1 second. Cleveland doesn't need a quarterback, they need an exorcist. Someone to rid them of the cursed decision-making that's haunted this franchise since flip phones were relevant. Actually, scratch that. They also need a restraining order, from common sense, because clearly, they're getting too cozy with delusion. You can't, with any ounce of dignity or working brain tissue, say Deion Sanders doesn't deserve a real shot. He's not some rando from Slippery Rock State who just wandered onto the field. He owned college football with the swagger of a seasoned general and the charisma of Beyoncé in a halftime show.
Their daddy is the Deion Sanders. Y'all are associating them with other Nepo babies who don't work hard. The Sanders boys have shown us that they all work hard. But because the NFL could not get Neon Deion the way they wanted to when he was playing, they are now retaliating against his children.
But apparently, that doesn't translate in Cleveland. No sir. In Cleveland, talent is a rumor, and opportunity is something they read about in fairy tales, right between the unicorns and the functioning offensive lines. If the Browns could mismanage a franchise any harder, they'd be legally reclassified as abstract performance art, something you'd expect to see in a dimly lit basement gallery titled Perpetual Rebuild, a study in sadness. And let's not pretend the NFL is any better. The league, in all its wisdom, is acting like Deion Sanders showed up to. Training camp sneezing confidence and coughing swagger, and now everyone's afraid they might catch it. There's a reason his fanbase is feral, and it's not just the primetime DNA. It's because every time Shedeur steps onto a field, he brings a level of grit, precision, and watch this attitude that most QBs only dream of. This is a guy who plays like he has a Rolodex of doubters he's been dying to embarrass since Pop Warner. Yet the NFL treats him like he's out here slinging timeshare pitches instead of touchdowns. It's almost like the league held a secret meeting and decided, how dare this kid be confident? How dare he clap back at critics? How dare he not grovel before the altar of our 35-year-old backup QBs with career passer ratings that scream, please stop throwing? And of course, the Browns, being the overachievers of underachievement, took that sentiment and ran with it, straight into another year of chaos, confusion, and questionable play calling.
Yeah, this dude has came back showing you his arm talent, showing his ball placement skill, footwork, and everything that you need to see from a quarterback. Deion Sanders is mentally tough, ready for the challenge. He's showing you his arm talent, he's showing you his work ethic, and most important part about it, decision making with that football.
You really start to wonder if the NFL is allergic to players who aren't afraid to speak their minds. Because Deion Sanders didn't just show up with stats, he showed up with swagger, IQ, and charisma. And in a league that still worships at the church of blandness, that's apparently enough to get you demoted to glorified waterboy. Heaven forbid a quarterback have more personality than a sideline pylon. The NFL wants robotic soldiers, not competent young men who can light up a defense and a press conference in the same week. Meanwhile, the Browns' offensive strategy still looks like it was developed by a toddler mashing Madden buttons with a juice box in one hand. This is a franchise that's spent decades on a scavenger hunt for the guy, only to repeatedly fumble the map, the compass, and eventually, the guy himself. Now, when someone finally walks through the door who might actually be the guy, what do? Panic, obviously. They hand the offense over to Mr. 7-yard slant like it's 2006, and that's still considered innovation. Let's be honest, if Shedeur was a 6th-round pick from Iowa who didn't post on Instagram and looked like he just walked out of a Bass Pro Shops catalog, he'd already have a statue outside the stadium with a plaque reading "Future of Football." But instead, he's sharp, savvy, self-aware, and, worst of all for the NFL, unapologetically confident. And in a league addicted to humility theater, that's practically a crime.
Shedeur did something that he continues to do, and while people want to, say he can or can't or do this and that, all I see him is really being able to outplay what he's able to do. He was asked in the media about the starting position. He answered that with grace. He answered that with humility. He is taking over the Browns training camp right now, and that's why.
And Cleveland? They're just the latest franchise to misread the assignment again. At this point, the Browns scouting reports are probably printed on the back of cereal boxes. It's almost like the Browns sat in a war room, looked at Shedeur, and went, too confident, too talented, too marketable. Better bench him and give Pickett a shot at winning 5 games before Thanksgiving. Genius-level decision-making. But here's the real kicker, the longer Cleveland pretends Shedeur isn't QB1 material, the more the entire football world watches them fumble yet another potentially game-changing decision. And when they're 2-6, with Kenny Pickett throwing ducks into Lake Erie and fans showing up in paper bags again, they'll look around and realize they benched the only man who could have saved them from themselves. And by then, it'll be too late. Shedeur's already got cameras following him, a fanbase that treats him like the second coming of Joe Montana, but with better Instagram captions, and a father who could probably walk onto the field and coach circles around half the NFL right now. What does Cleveland have? A legacy of heartbreak, a trophy cabinet collecting dust, and a starter who throws with all the precision of a guy using oven mitts. That's not a game plan, it's a disaster waiting to happen.
It's a must now. It's different. It's a must now. And we're not only documenting the journey for the Browns and to be a starter for the Browns, but considering it is the Browns and the decisions they make, if it continues to stack days, this could be an interview for another team. This could be adding to the resume for another team. That's something you got to throw out there.
But Shedeur? He's not pressed. He's just letting the league do what it does best, doubt him. Because when he finally does get the chance, and he will, the highlight reel is going to look like a roast session directed at every team that passed on him, benched him, or thought Kenny Pickett was the answer. It's poetic, really. The Browns gave him a reason. The NFL gave him a reason. The analysts who said he should earn it like everyone else gave him a reason. And he's taking notes. Probably in gold ink. Probably while wearing designer cleats. And when he eventually unleashes that arm, that swagger, that chip on his shoulder energy on some poor defense that never saw it coming, we'll all remember this moment. The moment Cleveland had the chance to be smart, and chose to be Cleveland instead. But let's not stop there. Let's appreciate the irony. The NFL is so obsessed with creating drama and storylines, they somehow miss the fact that one of the greatest stories is right in front of them. A guy raised by one of the most iconic athletes of all time. A guy who can actually play. A guy who turned college football into a cultural event every Saturday. And they've relegated him to the bench like he's an afterthought in a Netflix credits roll.
Well, during rookie minicamp, OTA, mandatory minicamp, and now at training camp, there's a battle going on. And Shedeur Sanders is, you already know, doing him in. Yeah. Every time ESPN put out a tracker, there it is right there, Shedeur Sanders is leading the pack. Not just with Dylan Gabriel, he's leading the pack with Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett.
It's almost impressive how consistently the NFL underestimates its own future. They had Tom Brady riding pine in New England once, too. But at least they let him throw a football before declaring him second string forever. Shedeur's not asking for a parade. He's asking for snaps, represented as a shot. And Cleveland's too busy rewatching Kenny Pickett's senior highlights from 2019 and pretending that'll get them to the playoffs. The NFL doesn't have a Shedeur problem. It has a too afraid to break the mold problem. And Cleveland? They're the poster child of that fear. So if they want to waste a perfectly good quarterback prospect because he's too flashy, too competent, too marketable, let them. Because eventually, Shedeur will.